We're off and running. I like to do the video that we're working on right now with a fire in my fireplace, which is right behind me. Normally I have a fire in my fireplace for this video because we're going to be talking about a Witches Sabbath where you have fire and all that kind of stuff. Except that, the windows and doors are still open. It's so warm outside. And the house is so darn warm that I just couldn't build a fire. So my apologies for failing to create the full setting that I would like to create for you, but that's it. Mother Nature just didn't cooperate. So you can see that's the fireplace back there, and that's where it'd usually be. But that's where the fire would usually be, but no fire this time. So anyway, I guess you're just stuck with me without any special mood. Look at this. You can see some of my granddaughter's pictures up on top of the fireplace too. Say, if I knew how to zoom in on them, I'd do that, but that's all right. That's not what you're here for. Okay. We're talking today about two of the most intense stories that we will be speaking about during the entire semester. And they're both written by one of my very favorite authors, Nathaniel Hawthorne. We already read some Hawthorne in The Birthmark, okay? Same guy, same Nathaniel Hawthorne, but these are even more intense than The Birthmark, okay? We're talking about Young Goodman Brown, which starts in your book on page 325, at least in my edition, which is the 9th edition, even though Scott thinks it must be the 8th edition because his page numbers aren't the same as mine. I don't know, maybe his is the same edition, but whatever. But anyway, and the other one we're talking about is The Minister's Black Veil, which starts on page 334. So let me address myself, first of all, a little bit to Young Goodman Brown, okay? This is a story of good and evil. We're talking about symbolism this week. We're talking about symbols, okay? Signs of. That's what a symbol is. And in the lesson that's printed out for you this week, I gave you a bunch of examples of symbols, so I won't give you the same examples here on the video because you'll have already read them on Moodle, okay? But again, a symbol is something that is a sign of. So in Hawthorne, he deals with an awful lot of symbols of good and evil, especially in Young Goodman Brown. Okay, I gave some examples, in fact, in the book. On Moodle. I gave you some examples of what some of his symbols are. We're talking about a story that's set in 1692 in Salem, Massachusetts. That should mean something to you right away. You've all heard of the Salem witchcraft trials, which took place in 1692. But Hawthorne uses all sorts of symbols in both of these stories, but particularly in Young Goodman Brown, to help you understand the temperament that he thought was part of the times then, first of all. And he felt that these were prideful people, but not necessarily honest people. Probably no different from our world today, right? In the town of Salem, there were all these people who acted like they were better than other people. And so when you get to the Witches Sabbath, and when you read the story, you'll understand this next comment. If you get to the Witches Sabbath, okay, then you'll see that the good shrank not from the wicked, which means that they realized deep down inside that they weren't any different, but they acted as if they were different, as if they were better. And I'm sure that we all know people, maybe it's part of the human condition, maybe there are times when all of us put ourselves above other people. Okay, well, that's what's going on in Salem. There's people that, there were the group of people who were considered the good people, and there were people who were considered the bad people, and the good and the bad generally did not mingle. So we have good, generally shown through light, brightness, white, and we have evil, which is generally shown through darkness. And we're talking about evil. Now, mankind, yes, we all have evil as part of our nature, but in this story, the devil, and that's who that character is that Goodman Brown meets in the forest, and if you don't understand it's the devil, you're missing a key element. But again, hopefully you'll watch this video and know that the devil says to Goodman Brown, evil is the nature of mankind. Now are ye undeceived? Evil is the nature of mankind. Okay? You don't have to believe that. I don't believe that. I think that all mankind is capable of evil. I think that evil is part of all of us, but there's also an awful lot of goodness in all of us, and that goodness, hopefully, more times than not, helps us overcome the evil. Okay? So in the story, we see Faith, who says to his wife, Goodman, this one night above all others, please stay here with me. And Goodman Brown says, no, I have to go. And he heads off, into the forest. Stay here, Faith, and take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the morning. And he heads off into the dark forest at night. That all by itself is a symbol of evil, okay? And you'll see in there that he meets the devil, and he's reluctant to go on, but he goes on anyway. The devil keeps luring him on. Keep in mind, this is the devil, and the devil is the master of lies, okay? So all of the things that the devil tells Goodman Brown in the story might be lies, might not be lies. We don't know. It doesn't matter. It lures Goodman Brown on, okay? So that's a big part of this, is the untruth from the devil, maybe. Goodman Brown keeps resisting. Early in the story, we see Faith with pink ribbons in her hair. I said that on Moodle. Think about the pink ribbons that come down then when Goodman Brown is trying to finally resist for one last time, and how he gives up. And think about the color pink and what it is a mixture of. I mentioned this in Moodle and how you can figure out the mixture thing, okay? Goodman Brown goes to the Witches Sabbath, and everybody from the town is there, including his mother and his father, and all of these people from the everybody is there. Even his catechism teacher had recognized the devil in the forest and had spoken to him. Imagine what that would do to you. Okay, so Goodman Brown undergoes this, and at the end, Goodman Brown is maybe the worst of all of them, because Goodman Brown feels like he resisted this temptation, except that he went, and then he condemns everybody else. So we know that Goodman Brown is a phony, because at the end it tells us that when Goodman Brown died, his family, his wife, his children, and his children's children followed him, in the procession to his grave. If he really so totally condemned Faith, then he wouldn't have had children, would he? Okay? But it's only sometimes awakening during the night he shrank from the bosom of Faith, not all the time. Okay, so think about all of those things. Think about all the symbols in there. Explore that story. You may have to read it twice, but it's an incredible story. The other story this week is the minister's black veil, and this is another story of good and evil. Now, the minister, under the first page, there's a little bit of reference to somebody whom whom Hawthorne had heard about, who had accidentally killed somebody, and so he put on a black veil to hide his guilt or to shield himself because he felt so guilty from everybody else. But that's not what happened in this story. That's not why the minister in the minister's black veil, Parson Hooper, put on that veil. So don't think that he did. Don't tell me he did. It'll mean that you didn't watch the video if you tell me that. That's not why he put it down. That little tidbit was the instrument for the story. Also, Parson Hooper presides at a funeral, and he shudders when he looks at the dead body. Don't tell me he had an affair with that woman. That's not it at all. Don't get that idea. You're really stretching. Think about what the veil is really all about. Okay, but Parson Hooper tells us in the second last paragraph of the story why he wears the veil. "Why do you tremble at me alone?" cried he, turning his veiled face round the circle of his pale spectators. "Tremble also with each other. Have men avoided me, and women shown no pity, and children screamed and fled, only for my black veil? What but the mystery which it obscurely typifies has made this piece of crape so awful? When the friend shows his inmost heart to his friend, the lover to his best beloved, when man does not vainly shrink from the eye of his Creator, loathsomely treasuring up the secret of his sin, then deem me a monster for the symbol beneath which I have lived and died. I look around, and lo, on every visage a black veil. Tell me in your email and in your story why he wore that black veil.